Rotational chops are an excellent and underappreciated core exercise because of how it teaches us to manage rotational movements of the three-dimensional world. We call this the transverse plane, one of the most important yet neglected movement planes. Let's break it all down and at the end go over 3 basic exercises you can do. We use rotation in power movements just as we do in forward movement. In power movements such as a swing or a sprint, we usually get some kind of a wind up and then release, wind up, release. In the case of a sprint, it will be a reciprocating, alternating wind up and release. With walking, we get a similar pattern but on a much lesser scale. Ultimately, whether it's a big movement or basic, we shift our weight from one leg to another and the ribs will want to follow in order for us to be able to balance properly. Being able to reciprocate and alternate this rib shift action is what your body needs to move freely. We have a bias to a strong side, so we want to be able to use rotational exercises as a means to condition our body's ability to go both ways. Most importantly though, we have a rib cage that's influenced by a diaphragm. Attaching at the front, round to the back onto the spine. It's attached lower on the right than it is on the left, a whole vertebrae lower. It is also heavier and better supported on the right because of our liver. It is no question this will have an effect on our rotational abilities plus torque in our posture, given that we take over 22,000 breaths per day. Therefore, being able to shift the rib cage both ways as we shift from one leg to another while breathing efficiently is imperative for healthy reciprocal human movement, as it is the basics of what we need for walking, running, and forward moving activities. Okay, let's go over 3 variations of the chop for you to try based on some of the concepts that we talked about, which was single leg stance, gravitating over one leg versus the other, and we'll start with the easiest, which is putting us into a half kneeling position. This biases our adductors and hamstrings of the front leg to be on. That will ground our pelvis over that side. Meanwhile, the back leg will be in hip extension, getting a little bit of glute action, pushing the pelvis into that front leg. Our spine wants to stay nice and tall, head upright, eyes seeing the peripheral. With your arms, you're gonna chop and press down as you breathe out, breathing in on the way down. We wanna make sure that we breathe out because that engages the abs, it gets some good ab pressure, draws and pulls those ribs down, activating those obliques, pulling the ribs over to that side. So we really wanna make sure that we blow and get rid of what's in our lungs, breathing in on the way up, breathing out on the way down, holding it just for a second, making sure we've completed our exhale. I like to have a narrower stance rather than a wider stance because that again gets these front leg muscles to do their job properly and we get all the nice things that we want working. We've got adductors, hamstrings, a glute with some obliques and good breathing. I like to do anywhere between 5 to 8 repetitions, making sure we're always breathing correctly, getting rid of everything as we press down and getting a nice inhale through the nose on the way up. Give that a try. Okay, so now we're gonna increase the intensity by putting you to upright position, but this is what we normally want to be able to do. We're just increasing the instability, forcing you to stabilize more and adding resistance with a band. So now you're gonna take a staggered stance position. So outside leg forward, front leg will be flat-footed, back leg will be on your toe, both knees will be bent and nicely loaded. And again, let's take a narrower as opposed to wider stance. Wider is always gonna be easier. We want narrower and forcing us to get a little bit lower because that will get all these inner thighs, outer thighs, glutes, adductors working to stabilize us. Same thing with the arms, make sure your spine's nice and tall, vision seeing peripherals. We're gonna chop down and press, finishing our exhale, breathing in on the way up. I like to blow out hard, because that engages the abs and makes sure we have good ab pressure and it locks in everything to that side. Again, I like to go between 5 to 8 repetitions, completing a set. And if you are ready for the third and final and hardest variation, now we're going to take it into a total single leg stance. Go up to a wall and put your back foot heel up into the wall, all the way into the wall so that your toes are off the floor. That forces you to put all your body weight onto this front leg, which is flat, knee bent. Now you got hamstrings, adductors, and glute all working on this leg. And we get to complete the beautiful picture by chopping into that side, rotating and activating an oblique, which is beautiful single leg stance activity. So from here, with the back heel pressing and the front heel grounded, we're gonna shift and press, making sure we complete the exhale. That locks us in, grounds us over to that side, and it will allow you to really feel a lot of these good leg muscles, outer hip glute, inner thigh adductor, doing its job stabilizing as you are rotating and drawing those ribs down. So there you go, those are 3 variations from easy, medium to hard. That's gonna do the job of getting you to rotate over each leg. That's gonna get your leg muscles to activate a little bit better, and it should help you walk a little bit easier. Give them a try, enjoy.